progress continues. Good morning. How are you today?
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I feel like it was late fall, kind of a day like today, actually.
Yeah, and the progress, I'd imagine, you're there every day. You get a chance to bring people through every week, couple months, whoever you're bringing through. From the outside, the topping up ceremony is a big moment, right? A big step forward. So take us through, I guess, what it was like being there that day, what it means for you, for everybody on the project.
Yeah, it's a significant day in the project. So on any construction project, you've got kind of three major milestones: the groundbreaking, which we had a couple years ago, topping out, which we celebrated on Friday, which is kind of the middle of the project, and then obviously we're looking forward towards the end of it with the ribbon cutting. But topping out in particular, completion of the structural steel, really a day about the workers, just to celebrate how far we've come since groundbreaking and the incredible work that they're doing out there every day.
So next steps and what happens from here, does it get busier now because the exterior is done, or is the interior work a little bit finer? I know sometimes you have up to 1,000 people on site or 700 given day-to-day stuff. So what happens from here?
Yeah, we actually have cracked the 1,200 person mark, so over 1,200, 1,250 daily, and that'll continue to increase through the spring. So as the structural steel and the exterior components start to finish up, including the canopy, you actually get more square footage of area inside the building opened up for concurrent work to happen. So it will ramp up. That's why you're able to ramp up manpower, because you have more areas to go. So the next phases really are the start of the exterior skin. We've started the architectural precast on the west side of the building, so the ECC side. Architectural precast has started over there. And we'll be starting the perforated metal panel and glazing. All that's to come in the next few weeks here on the exterior, all while the interior is continuing to be completed.
Is that to say that, especially with that within the next few weeks or month, that when folks are just even driving past the facility, that it'll start looking more and more on the outside like the stadium is nearing completion?
Yeah, for sure. And it's going to start on the west and the north, so the side facing ECC and the side facing Southwestern. So maybe not as prominent for those driving down Abbott right now, but certainly as we get later into the summer and into the fall and certainly through the season, that's exactly right. The stadium's going to look like what you've seen in the renderings for the past couple of years.
John Polka joining us in the Western Hotline. How about the field? I know that the field preparation, the grass has been growing. Stuff that happens below turf level, sod level. What happens from here with regard to the field?
Yeah, our contractor's actually in there now doing all the infrastructure that we've talked about. So all the heating, the sub-air systems, irrigation, drainage, all that work's ongoing right now, or just starting right now. And then through the summer, they'll be doing final preparations for installation of the natural grass turf in the fall, which most people, look at the stadium today and say we're going to have a field in there in the fall. All of that is with the focus on getting a full growing season in. So that before a game's played there, we've got a full year worth of establishment of the turf.
The growing season, like fall through, I'm trying to think like that's, so the grass will be 1 year basically established if you're shooting for fall. That's the start of football season this year.
Yep, just about. Yeah, so October, it'll probably be October, early November time frame where the field actually goes in, but that's right. It's intended to go through a winter season, a spring season, a summer, and then be ready for the fall of 26.
And that's grass that is already growing, right? I'm trying to remember. Was it in New Jersey? Where's the grass growing?
Yeah, New Jersey. Grounds guys have taken a couple trips out there to make sure everything's looking good. So yeah, this process starts really early. I think the grass was actually planted last August. So it's been growing for a while before it gets cut out and transported up for installation here.
In terms of the weather that it is out now, are you at a point where it's just cold? Like was it only snow that would ever kind of slow anything down when it came to progress at the stadium? At this point, weather-wise, it's that pretty much just in the clear?
Yeah, I mean, we're not, the weather still can be windy and rainy and a whole bunch of stuff that could still impact days, but the significant concern is certainly the winter. So if winter ever decides to go away here, we'll be in a much better spot. But yeah, hopefully we get into some real spring days here, which will be nice change of pace for the crews out there too.
To follow up on that, the snow melting system, I'd imagine that's one of the ones that's important to be operational first, right? I mean, the stadium's got to be able to deal with snow come this winter, even though it's still a ways from completion.
Yeah, so that actually, obviously you can see as you're driving by, the canopy's up and metal deck is on. They have actually started to install the snow melt tubing up on the roof. So that's one of the items that's ongoing at this time, and that'll be a major focus of summer for sure, is to get that system in.
John Polka with us on the Western Hotline. So next steps, like, is it come together at the same time, like concourse stuff, and how much of that is still structural versus how far away from like bars being built and being put in, and like I'm sure we're nowhere near like screens and like scoreboards.
You're asking the first tap, right? When the first beer gets just to run the lines.
It's a good call. Might have to have you guys out for the first beer. It's actually, I mean, when you think about the entirety of the stadium and how big it is, areas get finished while other areas are still very early on in their efforts, right? So there will be areas of the building that get finished well before, obviously, other areas. The field club and the home locker room and that whole kind of area on the home side of the stadium right now is starting to get in that state where you're seeing finished elements go in there. We're not at the level of installing the bars or anything yet, but it will happen much sooner than you would ever think it would. And then that will just, those sequences will just continue around the building until everything's done. But don't know exactly when that stuff's going in, but it will happen sooner than you realize. We were actually out last week in Amsterdam looking at the final mock-ups of the home lockers, and those are now into production. So a lot of the millwork and stuff that you're referring to is actually in the works right now, and then will be brought off the site and installed.
Is Amsterdam, they're being made in Amsterdam?
Amsterdam, New York.
Okay. Yep. I got to make sure, Amsterdam.
Terrifying, yeah.
Hey,
terrifying.
you never know.
Yeah. We talked about the weather a little bit. Are you able to, or is this something that would wait for the exterior of the building? Are you able to tell as the winter progressed, and even now still that it's cold, and I mean, I'm looking out the window right now and we still have flurries, that you're able to kind of tell the difference from the building and what fans might experience at some point in time, how much warmer it'll be, if you're inside the concourse or even if you're under the canopy versus what we currently have at the Highmark Stadium right now. Are you able to tell the difference or not yet?
100%. Not as much necessarily on temperature yet until we get a little bit more enclosed and we get the skin up, but I can tell you for certain, over the last 2 weeks, we've had our grounds guys out there just going out looking at stuff with us and our equipment staff. And both days we were out there with them were very windy as we were entering the building. And we got down to field level to review stuff we were reviewing with them. And individually, they commented on how little wind there was down at field level when you could look up and see the upper concourse or some of the tarps, just blowing like crazy. But down at field level, there was nothing. So even though we don't have any of the perforated metal on yet, we don't have any of the architectural precast in yet, there are some temporary walls that are in place that you've probably seen that are helping the, keep the workers protected from the elements that are simulating that a little bit. But most importantly, the structure itself is up, and we're seeing the impacts of that already deterring the wind, which has been extremely encouraging for us.
Bill's VP of Stadium Development, John Polka, on the Western Hotline. How about, John, the promenade's not the right word I'm looking for here. I know that from the stadium, if you're looking at it from Abbott and Southwestern, that's going to be kind of like the front road in, right, with Family Circle and the giant buffaloes. When does that landscaping portion of the project really get going in full force?
So the site work portion of that actually started immediately after the season. So for anybody who's been out there, the construction perimeter has been established now all the way out to the edge of the property closest to Southwestern. So all of that area where Family Circle will be, the parking lots on the north, all of that area is within the construction site right now. So they're doing all the site work, all the grading. Next would be foundations in those areas, sidewalks, curbs, pavement, and then eventually the installation of the buffaloes, which we're very much looking forward to.
And where is that part of the process? People want to know. How you put out to how many artists? There were a lot of different submissions, and you guys the process of narrowing it down and all that.
Yeah, there were. I forget the numbers. Frank Pravada, this has been certainly his baby for a while. There are thousands of interest, hundreds of realistic folks who were considered for the project. Ultimately selected one, and Frank's just been working tirelessly to bring this to reality. So I won't give away too much, but Frank was out at their fabrication shop a couple weeks ago, sent us some pictures of some of the early mock-ups, and I think we'll have more information on that coming soon, but I think it's going to be great.
Okay, but the artist has been chosen for that.
The artist has been chosen.
All right. So you've got, but no rendering on that yet. All right. When can we? Do you feel like there'll be a time again? People are going through the stadium experience and that side of it. Will there be? Do you think any more media to be shared as this process continues? Because for anybody on the outside, you can just look and see growth. Now that the walls are up, the stuff that's happening inside, I feel like it's a little bit more. As much as you guys are eager to show.
Yeah, I think that's fair, right? People have been able to kind of monitor the progress by seeing the building and the structure come to life from the outside. Now, as that becomes a little bit more enclosed, certainly everybody will still be able to see the skin going up and the exterior facade, but the interior fit out, you won't be able to see as much. So our content team does a great job. We're out there with them every couple of weeks, just getting content and kind of capturing the moments. And I'm sure we'll have some updates as some of those cool things are occurring.
And last thing for me, how about lights? When do the lights go up?
It's a good question. Lighting, speakers, I can tell you, are in. Lighting, not exactly sure. That is likely a summer activity, certainly before the winter of next year. I can certainly tell you the speakers were installed or are continuing to be installed. And we had one of the arrays turned on a few weeks ago just as a test, and we're completely blown away by the sound of just one of the arrays in the building, with, at that time, probably only 25%, 30% of the canopy up. So we're really excited, continue to be really excited about the sound in the building, not only the artificial sound through the speakers, but also just what the canopy and the design of the stadium means for fan noise and crowd noise on game days. Very good. VP of Stadium Development, John Polka, on the Wester Hotline, updating us on Highmark Stadium and the construction. Well, congratulations, John, on the halfway point. I mean, it's kind of funny you mentioned the topping out as halfway, but it's whatever. It's a big day, and best of luck as you guys keep rolling along here. Yeah, appreciate it. Glad to be on with you guys, and we'll get you out there to get a first look at it yourself. Very good.
Awesome.
John Polka.
Thanks, John.
On the Wester Hotline. Yeah, I mean, last time we were there, we went all the way up to the press box. We're walking on, rebar, and eager to see how
the concourses too.
Yeah, how everything's changed. So it's super cool. I'd imagine as the full enclosure, I'm just kind of envisioning standing there where we stood, on the field and all that. As it gets fully enclosed all the way around and the canopy, it's going to feel like a gladiator's arena. I mean, it's going to feel tight. And I don't mean that as like cramped for fans, but it's going to feel like you are on top of the field when you are at that stadium. Such a difference from the current Highmark, which is kind of, open, very open.